Afternoon, everybody. We'll give it a second, make sure that our guest speaker gets here okay. Um, I don't know if some of you guys who are in the regular or not the Google Meet section saw my announcement earlier, but I did get permission to move our room. We're going to be moving to room 103 um, for the rest of the semester instead of the 304, the B room. So I got us a new room, and we got a camera hooked up in there today and all that stuff. So whenever we meet again next time, everything will be fine. You don't have to worry about getting stung again. So yeah, 103. Just keep that in mind for next time. Uh, we'll give it a second. She hasn't texted me or anything saying otherwise that she's not going to be here. So let's see. Hello there. Welcome. I can hear you.
Hello, can you
Hello.
hear me, Professor?
I can. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Um, some of the guys, you guys know, I usually don't make you turn your cameras on, but if some of you guys would like to, just to show that we're a nice, hospitable class, so that way she's not teaching to a black hole here. Um, I would appreciate it. So, you want to introduce yourself? And
Uh-huh.
yes, sure.
Yes, sure. So my name is Samaher, but you guys can call me Sam. I am the Arabic language instructor at Bluefield State University. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not American. I am from Tunisia. It's a country in North Africa, and I will be in Bluefield State University for 2 semesters. teaching Arabic and Arabic cultures. So very nice to meet you guys, and looking forward to explaining Islam and telling you all about it.
Awesome. Well, welcome. One of your students is in this class as well, Rachel. So
Ooh.
you already know Rachel.
Yeah, I do know Rachel. She's in my culture class. Hi, Rachel. Yeah.
Hi.
Nice to see you again today.
Well, you should be able to, if you have like a presentation or something, you should be able to share your screen. There you go. You got it already.
Yes, sure. Okay, so we're going to start our presentation today by a quick question. So I want you guys to maybe think about Islam and Muslims and tell me what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about it. So, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Islam as a religion or Muslims? Anything is really appreciated. Doesn't
I
really matter.
I really honestly don't know anything about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay,
Yeah, I
that's
have
cool.
nothing to.
Okay, so Brittany doesn't really have any idea. Okay, can we ask Kylie? Kylie, what do you think? What comes to mind?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Brittany with that one.
Ooh, ooh. Okay, does anyone know anything about Islam at all or Muslims in general? Anything? No. Wow, that's cool. Okay, all right.
Your,
So we
your
have a
lesson
lot
is
to
very much
discuss
needed.
today. Okay, so what I have for you guys is some true or false questions, and you can just answer with whatever you think it is, okay? So some people say that all Muslims are Arabs. Do you think this is true or false?
Oh,
False.
All Muslims are Arabs. Do you think this is true or not? So of course, Muslims is Islam is a religion. So Muslims, those are the religious people who follow the faith of Islam. And then Arabs is of course an ethnicity. So we know Arabic language. So the people who speak Arabic are the Arabs. And they are mainly located in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, Oman, countries like also Tunisia and Morocco. So, do you think that all Muslims are Arabs? Yes, no? No?
no.
I see
No.
Kamara saying no. No, very correct. So, not really, okay? A lot of people think that all Muslims are Arabs, but actually, only 20% of Muslims are Arabs. And I think a lot of people don't know this actually. Okay, second thing, it's a stereotype. I hear a lot here. Islam promotes violence or terrorism. Do you think that's true or false?
I don't think that that's fully true.
Ooh, okay, fully true. It's not. It's not true at all. So Islam is just another religion, and actually, the word Islam in itself, the root of the word Islam is salam, which means in Arabic peace. So it's literally a religion of peace. It's not really something that promotes violence or anything like that, but it has been unfortunately stereotyped this way in Western countries for certain political decisions. And that's what it is about. Okay, and next one is Muslim women are oppressed. And here I put a picture of what a Muslim woman would put. Like, so you can see, like, she's wearing an outfit. She also wears something to cover up her hair. It is called a hijab. So this is what a hijabi girl would look like in a Muslim country. Okay. Do you think that women who wear hijab or Muslim women are oppressed? Okay, no. Okay, no, they are not oppressed. So there is a lot of freedom for Muslim girls, just any girls from anywhere in the world. And just because some women are wearing hijab doesn't mean they are oppressed or anything like that. It's just a personal choice, and it's a reflection of their own religion. Okay, now we're going to skip the other two just to save time, and we're going to start with our presentation. Okay, so we have for today an introduction to Islam and Islamic ethics, and of course, we're going to start with our outline. So we're going to speak about, the faith, Islam as a faith, its foundations and the ethics. We're going to cover the origins and core beliefs, you know, just like any other religion. And we're going to discuss the holy book of Muslims, which is known as the Quran. I don't know if you heard about it. Probably not. It's like it's kind of similar to the Bible, okay, but it's for Muslims. Maybe it's a bit longer. And then we have number 4. We're gonna go and discuss Islam as an Abrahamic religion. So for those who are Christians, or for those who are Jews, uh, it's the same thing, okay? It's the same Abrahamic religion. So it's kind of originated from the same family, from the same place. And then the 5th thing we have is the 5 pillars of Islam, which are 5 mandatory things that everyone who's a Muslim should be doing, okay? And then we have number 6, Islamic ethics, and I will try to be very precise with it, okay? Not a lot of details mentioned. And then at the very end, we're going to speak about Avicenne and Aviros, I think. I might have butchered those names. Wait, let me check my notes. Aviros, yes, Aviros and Avicenne. In Arabic, it's totally different. So Avicenne in Arabic is Ibn Sina, and then Aviros in Arabic is Ibn Rushd. So I'm not really familiar with these two. So if you hear me saying Ibn Sina or Ibn Rushd, you know what I mean. And then at the very end, of course, we're gonna open a Q&A session for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You guys can ask me whatever you want, from any slide that we're gonna go through today. Okay? But please feel free to stop me at any moment, okay? And I'll be very happy to re-explain anything and go into further details with any specific points. Okay, now let's go to understanding Islam and why it's important. Okay, why is knowing about Islam is important? Well, because it's one of the world's major religions. It's actually in the top 3, and you have close to 2 billion followers from the whole world, which is a lot of people. And it's not just a religion, it's also a way of life. It's a framework, if you'd say, and it connects really your spirituality as a person, and it also connects your moral conduct and your social justice. So it affects the way you think about the world and your ethics. So to understand Islamic ethics, we of course have to understand that where Islam comes from, and what it is exactly. So we're going to start with that, and we have it over here. Okay, so we're gonna do a bit of history. Islam originated in the 7th century in the Arabian Peninsula in the city of Mecca. Now, if you're not familiar with the city of Mecca, it's one of the largest cities in Saudi Arabia. And so it basically was a desert at that time, and it was found in a cave, okay, in Mecca, in one of the caves in that specific desert. And then, okay, who was the prophet? And I know for Christians, you are familiar with the word prophet. So the main prophet for Islam was a guy called Muhammad, and he was born in 570 CE. He is considered by Muslims, of course, as the final messenger in a long line of prophets that include Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, of course. Okay, and here I have to mention that Islam and Christianity are very similar, but don't agree on one point. Okay, for Christians, Jesus is God, so he was resurrected from the death. But for Muslims, Jesus is a prophet. He is one of the prophets, but he's not really a god. He's just a prophet, a really nice prophet, basically. Okay, and then so according to Islamic belief, when we're on point 3, Muhammad began receiving revelations from God, and God for Muslims is called Allah, which is Arabic, through the angel Gabriel when he was 40 years old. These revelations continued for about 23 years old and were later compiled into the Quran, which is the holy book, which Muslims regard as the literal word of God, unaltered, eternal, and universal. Okay, so this is what you have for now. It was 7th century, and it was somewhere in Saudi Arabia, which is now Saudi Arabia, of course. It used to be just, a couple of like cities and towns. It was in Mecca, okay? The guy, the prophet, the main person here is Muhammad. He's a man. He was 40 years old. He used to go to a cave to meditate or something like that. And then one day, like a voice spoke to him in the cave, and that voice turned out to be the angel Gabriel, who was sent by God to deliver messages to Muhammad. Okay, that's how it is. That's what we know for now. Those messages from God continued for 23 years until Muhammad's death. And after his death, a couple of his disciplines, of his students, wrote the book, which is known now as the Quran. Okay, so the Quran was written 20 years after the death of Muhammad, and it was written by his followers, and they said that it was written the way it was delivered to Muhammad from God. And that's why a lot of Muslims, I don't know if I can say this, but they don't really say that. They don't really think that Muhammad is the main person here. They think that the Quran is the main thing. So all Muslims really, really care about their book. Okay? I don't know about reading books, but they really care about their holy book. And they think it is, words from God, unaltered. It has never been changed since the day it was written and until today. And that's why a lot of people, they find it hard to read the Quran because it's old. It's written in the old way of writing in Arabic. So it's an old language, but you can still understand it, okay? So the central message, let's do the central message of Islam. So the central message of Islam is Tawheed, and or the absolute oneness of God. So Tawheed means that there is only one God, and there is only one faith, and there is only, one way of doing things. It's not really up to interpretation. You have this, you have that, you have things that you can do, and we call those halal things, and then you have things that you cannot do, and we call those haram things. Okay, and you're supposed to follow whatever is written in the Quran, whether you're allowed to do it or whether you're not allowed to do it. Okay, but the main message is Tawheed. There is only one God who is, up there, and who is very powerful, knows everything, created everything, and he's just him, okay, by himself. That's what Islam is all about. Okay? Now, if you want the meaning of the word Muslim, okay, and I told you a Muslim is a person who follows the faith of Islam. Muslim in Arabic means the person who is submissive. No, where is that? A person who is submitting to something. Okay, so here it's submitting to God, basically. So when you say Muslim, in reality, you're just saying someone who is following God. Okay. And then we have the final point. Islam also emphasizes the idea of moral accountability. So every person is responsible for their own actions, and that life is both a test and a trust from God. The ultimate goal is to live a balanced, righteous life in harmony with divine guidance. Okay? So think about it. For Muslims, you are put in this world as a test for you. So basically, Muslims think that they are here to take a test, okay, by God. So God is testing us as humans. So those who do well will be sent to heaven, and those who don't will be sent to hell. Okay, Jahannam in Arabic, and heaven in Arabic is Jannah, which is paradise. So it's kind of similar, okay? It's kind of similar to Judaism and Christianity, of course, because, like I said, they are both Abrahamic religions. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, I told you that the Quran is really important for Muslims, and I'll tell you why, okay? So it is believed by Muslim to be the literal words of God, of Allah. And it was revealed to Muhammad, like we said. The word Quran in itself in Arabic means recitations. So he's just reciting what the angel Gabriel told him. Okay, it's just a recitation. Okay, more info about the book, and this is what it looks like. Okay, usually it's green and engraved with yellow golden decorations. Here it is written Al-Quran Al-Karim in Arabic, which means the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran. Okay, now, according to Islamic belief, the Quran was revealed through the angel Gabriel, and it was in Hira, the cave of Hira near Mecca, like I told you. Each revelation was recorded by scribes and companions of the Prophet and later compiled into a single text under the Khalifa Uthman ibn Affan about 20 years after Muhammad's death. So this is the Quran. Muslims consider the Quran unaltered and miraculous in its language and message. Okay? It's a final revelation, they say, they believe. It's a final revelation. So, completing the series of divine scriptures that include the Torah, Psalms, and the Gospels. Okay? The Quran is divided into 114 chapters, call it surah, and then it's about 6,236 verses, and those verses are called ayat in Arabic. Ayat. So the chapters can vary, okay? There are some chapters like 3 lines, 4 lines. There are other chapters that run for like 50 pages. So it can be really different depending on the surah, depending on the story. And we have certain stories. We have a story called the cow. We have a story called the light. We have a story called the mercy. There are a lot of surahs, and some surahs speak about prophets' lives. Some surahs speak about certain ethical situations. It's different, okay? Some surahs also speak about Judgment Day, about what you should do to go to heaven, the things that you shouldn't do. There are a lot of those, okay? Now, let's see if Islam as an Abrahamic religion. So, like I said, Islam is deeply connected to Judaism and Christianity, forming what we call the Abrahamic faiths. All three religions trace their spiritual heritage back to the first prophet, Ibrahim, who is seen as a model of faith and obedience to God. Okay, so Islam views itself as the continuation and completion of the same monotheistic tradition. Muslims believe that God sent many prophets, including Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, David, Solomon, and Jesus, to guide humanity throughout history. Each prophet brought the same essential message, which is to worship one God and live ethically. So they all share the same point, same message. In Islam, Jesus, which we call Isa in Arabic, his name is Isa, is highly respected and regarded as one of the greatest prophets, but not divine. He is seen as a messenger who brought the gospel and called people to faith. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. So the Quran also recognizes previous scriptures such as Torah and and Psalms, I guess. But Muslims believe that the Quran is the final revelation or correction and completion of earlier messages. This continuity emphasizes a shared moral foundation, justice, compassion, mercy, and the unity of humankind under one creator. Okay, so this is what they all agree on, even though there are certain differences. Okay, so we see beyond those differences and we focus on the main message, which is justice, compassion, mercy, and of course the unity of humankind. So being a good human being. Okay? Now, if we want to mention the 5 pillars of Islam, so we have first thing faith, second prayer, third thing is charity, fourth thing is fasting, and then we have pilgrimage. Okay? So the first thing we have is faith. And this means that you have to say out loud, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. This simple statement defines a Muslim identity and serves as the constant reminder of God's oneness and humanity and dependence on him. So any Muslim, okay, or if anybody is thinking about becoming Muslim, the first thing that he should do is to say out loud, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله, which literally translates to there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Okay, so you are wholly believing in this, okay, completely believing in this. And then the second thing is praying. So for Muslims, which is something a lot of people get surprised when they know, Muslims pray 5 times a day. So it's not once a week. It's not once a month. It's five times a day. So they have a prayer at dawn. They have a prayer at noon. They have a prayer mid-afternoon. They have a prayer at sunset. And then at the very end, they have a prayer at night. So 5 total prayers. They should do them according to the time. So they have times that they're supposed to follow, and everyone is doing that. Okay, so when it is time to pray, you will see in any Arab country, you'll see people, going to the mosque to pray. The mosque is Muslims' church, okay? It's like a Muslim's church. They call it mosque. So they would go to the mosque and they would pray. You can pray at home, it doesn't really matter. You can pray at work, it doesn't really matter. Whatever place you have where you can pray, you do it. So being a Muslim is really a commitment. Whole day you're praying. So prayer for Muslims connects the believer to God throughout the whole day. And they believe that it brings discipline and promotes equality. No one is above God. So everybody is praying. Even kings pray. So there is equality between everyone. So all Muslims stand shoulder to shoulder, regardless of statue during worship, and they pray. And I actually have a video of a girl. She's kind of showing you how to pray. So let's watch that, okay, before we move on. Okay.
الله أكبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا لك الحمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى الله أكبر الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم.
Okay, so that's how they do it, basically. So they do that 5 times a day, and usually it takes, I'd say, 10 minutes to do your prayer. Sometimes you can finish in 5 minutes, okay? Depends on you. Some people need to have their, their prayer time. Some people speak to God when they pray, so it might take a few hours, whatever works for you. So usually what you need to do in your prayer is done in 5 minutes. It's a lot of saying things like God is the greatest, I believe in God, and then reciting some verses from the Quran, the holy book, and then maybe saying things again like I believe in God, I believe in this religion, etc., etc. So that's what praying is all about for Muslims. And it's mandatory. Okay, so it is mandatory. You cannot really say, I mean, if you want to be, a good Muslim, you want to be doing it the right way, you'll be praying 5 times a day. Okay? No, there is nothing that comes between you and praying usually. Okay, third pillar. Okay, third pillar for Islam is something called zakat in Arabic. It translates to charity. So, according to the Holy Book, okay, Quran, Muslims are required to give 2.5% of their wealth annually to help the poor and the needy. So this pillar emphasizes social justice and economic balance, ensuring that wealth circulates and that no one is left behind. So, at the end of the year, as a Muslim, you have to count your money wherever you have, and you have to calculate 2.5% of wherever you made that year, that specific year, and you have to give it to the poor. Okay, so your poor neighbors, you know, a needy family. Maybe you can even donate to the hospital, to building a school, doesn't matter. Okay, most important thing is that you pay that to the poor, and it is one of the 5 pillars. So you cannot go, you cannot say, oh no, I didn't make enough money, I'm not doing this. You can't. Okay, Muslims think that whatever money you have comes from God. It's a gift from God. It's not really your money. So you're supposed to give back to the community and to the people around you. Okay? And the fourth pillar that we have, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the fourth. It is fasting. Fasting. In Arabic, it is called Sawm. Sawm. So during the month of Ramadan, Muslims fast from dawn to sunset. Okay, why? Because they say that fasting builds self-control, empathy, and gratitude. It reminds believers of the struggles of those less fortunate and strengthens spiritual awareness. Okay, what is fasting for Muslims? Okay, so fasting for Muslims doesn't really mean that you have to fast one day in a year. Okay, no, it's more than that. Muslims have to fast a whole month, 30 days, consecutive days, each year. So they stop eating and they also stop drinking. So no food, no water, no anything. Starting from 4 a.m. 4 a.m. until 7 p.m. usually. It's different depending on the sunset, but that's how they do it. Okay, from dawn to sunset. So you have from 4 a.m. until 7 p.m. you are fasting, you're not eating food, you're not drinking any kind of beverage, and also you are not speaking badly about people. You're not doing anything bad. So the whole month is supposed to be you fasting from eating food and drinking, and also you fasting from doing anything that goes against God. So, for example, if you have an addiction and you're like smoking, usually during Ramadan, you're supposed to quit smoking. Okay, you're supposed to stop, or at least limit yourself to a certain number. Also, drinking alcohol, you're supposed to stop drinking alcohol during Ramadan, because for Muslims, drinking is not really appreciated that much. So, also, you have to, like I said, stop, for example, spreading negativity or talking about people behind their backs or gossiping or doing anything negative. Okay, so basically you have a full month to focus on yourself, your faith, and spreading, positivity and peacefulness. Okay, all right, so for now we know that we have shahada, saying that there is only God, And then we know that you have to pray 5 times a day. We also know that you must give to the needy money. And we also know that you have to fast a whole month for God. Okay? Now, the fifth pillar is pilgrimage. Pilgrimage, also known as Hajj in Arabic. Okay, pilgrimage is the only unique pillar. Okay, it's the only pillar that is not mandatory. For example, let me tell you what it is first, okay? So basically, Hajj is a Muslim traveling to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca, to Saudi Arabia, where the Quran was revealed, where the Quran was written. So you're supposed to go there to Mecca, to Saudi Arabia, and you're supposed to go there to pray and read Quran. That's it. Okay, you're just supposed to pray and eat and read Quran. It can be for 1 week, it can be for 2 weeks, it can be for a whole month. Okay, so preferably they say a whole month of just doing this. And they basically do it in Saudi Arabia, in the city of Mecca. And I can even show you what it looks like from afar, like the city, because a lot of people don't know that Muslims do this every year, every month actually. So this is Mecca. This is Mecca. And that's like the black cubic thing. And that's the big mosque that you see. And like I said, people must travel to Saudi Arabia to do this, and they pray there. Okay, like you see, all of these, dots are just people praying. Like all of them. And this is what it looks like, more like this and this. Like I said, it's in the middle of the desert, and it looks like this from afar. It's all one mosque. Okay, it's all a big mosque where people pray. Also, it looks like this. Okay, and it looks also like this. So this is what people do for their Hajj. They go to Saudi Arabia, exactly to Mecca, and they pray all day, all night. That's it. Okay. All right. Why is it special? Why it is not mandatory? Because it's not easy to do. Some Muslims live in, they live in like Morocco, Algeria. Some even live in Japan, China. Some Muslims live in India. Some Muslims live in, Germany or any European country, really. So going to Mecca, going to Saudi Arabia, that costs a lot of money. It's not cheap. I think it's like $10,000 or $15,000 for a month. So it's not cheap, okay? And that's why it's the only pillar that you actually choose if you want to do it or not. So if you are financially stable, you have the money, you have the resources, and you are physically able to travel and to do all of that, you can. If you don't have money or you're sick, it's not a must. Okay? You have your thing, you cannot really do it. It's fine. Okay? You just pray to God from your own house. Okay? Now, let's move on to the next point that we have. And I really tried to make it very, very short for you guys. Okay, so Islamic ethics. Islamic ethics. Ethics in Islam are deeply rooted in faith and intention. The Arabic word for ethics is akhlaq. Akhlaq. It refers to character and moral behavior. The Prophet Muhammad said, I was sent to perfect good character. So this is what he said. He said, I was sent by God to make you, okay, better human beings. That's it. So, at its heart, Islamic ethics are based on the belief that humans are stewards of God's creation and are accountable for their actions. Every moral decision should be guided by taqwa, which is a meaning of consciousness or awareness of God's presence. And the Quran and the Hadith, which is the sayings of the Prophet, are the main sources of ethical guidance. So from these texts, scholars, religious scholars, developed Sharia, which is known as the Islamic law. Not just legal law, but it's also an ethical way of living. So I have pointed 4 main key principles that they got from the Quran. Okay. First principle is justice, a central moral value. The Quran repeatedly commands believers to act justly, even toward those they dislike. So it says in the Quran, even if you are fighting with somebody, or if you don't agree with somebody, okay, you don't have the same faith or whatever, you still cannot act in a way unjustly, okay? You have to act just. There is no difference between people. And then we have compassion and mercy. Compassion and mercy. So in the Quran, God is described as the most merciful more than 100 times. Okay, that's how important it is. So it's showing that mercy must also be a part of human behavior. You, as a human being, must be merciful. You must show mercy to people, just like God will show mercy to you on Judgment's Day. And then the third one we have is intention, your intentions. So in Islam, actions are guided or judged by intentions. Even a good act loses its value if done for pride or selfish gain. What it means is, if, for example, you saw someone poor on the street and you gave him money, a lot of money, doesn't mean it's a positive point for you from God. Doesn't mean that. Why? Because God judges your intentions, what's in your heart. So, for example, if you were giving money just to show off and to show that you're giving money to others in front of other people, that doesn't count, okay? It's a minus, actually. So you're not judged for your actions, you're actually judged for your intentions. What's in your heart? And then for the first one, it's just honesty, humility, and generosity altogether. And these are considered signs of true faith and moral maturity. So, like I said, all the 5 pillars, lead to this. It's a form of generosity. It's a form of honesty. You must never lie. You must always be honest. Never speak any lies. Always tell the truth, no matter what it is. And also, you must be generous to other people. So, for example, if a guest is coming to your house, as a Muslim, you must be nice, you must be hospitable, you must be, taking care of everything. Uh, I don't know, it's just a must, okay? And if you meet any Arab person, you will see this, okay? You'll see these, like all these key principles in the culture itself. So it kind of started from religion. It is based on religion, but all of those Muslim countries, Arab countries around the world, they are all, based on this religion, and they all have these key principles. Okay, so even if they're not Muslims, culturally they still believe that you must be hospitable, you must be generous, you must be honest, you must be just and compassionate. Okay, and they try to live life that way. Okay, even without faith. All right. So, in short, to conclude this part, Islamic ethics encourage balance between faith and reason, and between individual rights and collective welfare for their societies, and also between spiritual devotion and daily life. So, in the Quran, you will find guides or guidelines on, what to do when somebody is, I don't know, going through a divorce, for example, or when somebody is dying and he has an inheritance, and how to split the inheritance. And it's also about a lot of things about women's rights. Okay, like women are your like equals, your partners, things like that. Okay. All right, let's see our next slide. Okay, here I wanted to speak about two philosophers, Islamic philosophers, of course. We have Avicenna and we also have Averroes. Averroes, yes, Averroes. Okay, so beyond religious practice, Islam, okay, developed a sophisticated philosophical tradition, especially during the golden age of Islam. So there was at a point of history from the 8th century to the 13th century, that was the golden era for Arabs. It was the golden era for Muslims. Uh, Muslims in all countries were getting, a lot of development and modernization. They were trading very well with other countries. They were, working on literature, working on creating certain basics for philosophies. They were also working on um, their medical knowledge, enriching their legal also, laws and things like that. So all of these things, all of these like booms, happened in the golden age of Islam. And, you know, there were many great thinkers that were raised, okay, or that were alive during that period. Of course, we mention only two here today. We have Avicenna, which his name is Ibn Sina in Arabic, and we have Averroes. He is Ibn Rushd in Arabic, and both philosophers played key roles in shaping Islamic and Western thought. Because just like Avicenna and Averroes were basing their thoughts on Greek philosophers like Aristotle. People from the West, philosophers from the West who came after Avicenna and Averroes were also inspired by Avicenna and Averroes, because philosophy works like that. If a nation is doing great, they will, inspire other countries and other nations to think and to do more and to write and to maybe create new ways of thinking. Okay, and that's what's happening all the time with all fields. Okay, so here, just one point I want to mention. Ibn Sina is so popular. Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd, Avicenna and Averroes are really popular. Okay, so popular that after all these centuries, in my country, Tunisia, primary schools and primary schools are named after Averroes until today. So until today, in my town, in my city, there are a couple of primary schools or high schools named after Averroes. Also, in the capital city of Tunisia, my country, the largest hospital in the country is named after Ibn Sina, Avicenna, for his great advancement and his great work for the medical field. Okay, so they are really popular even today. All right, now let's get some small introductions about them. So this is Avicenna, and he was born in Baghdad, which is Persia, Persia, Iran right now. So he's a Persian philosopher and physician. He's a doctor, and who sought to unite Aristotelian philosophy with Islamic theology. He believed that the highest purpose of ethics was the perfection of the soul. So he was one of the very first philosophers to speak about souls, separate from the body, from the person. It's a soul. So for Avicenna, living ethnically meant training the soul to rise above material desires like eating and through reason, self-discipline, and knowledge. So virtue, he said, is a balance between two extremes, an idea inspired by Aristotle's concept of the golden mean. Like I said, he was inspired by Aristotle to build up on that according to his religion, Islam. His ethical thought also emphasized intellectual and moral development, that true happiness comes not from pleasure, but from the pursuit of truth and wisdom. And this is how you can see the impact of Islamic thoughts on his philosophy and his way of thinking about life and the pursuit of happiness. And the second one, Averroes, we have here, he's from Andalusia. And you will think he's a Spanish. Not exactly. Okay, so Spain, how to say this? There was a time when Spain was populated by Arabs, okay, not Spanish people, not Europeans or like Western, just like Arabs coming from Morocco, which is today Morocco. They were called at that time Andalusia, so they are the Andalusian. So he was an Andalusi, okay, although he was born in Spain, he was Muslim, okay, he was even like Arab in his beliefs and everything. So he was both a philosopher and a judge, okay, just like Avicenna, who was a doctor and a philosopher. This guy, Averroes, was a philosopher and a judge. He worked in court and he worked for the king. He defended the use of reason as a way to understand revelation. His famous idea is that truth does not contradict truth. What is right will always be right. Okay? Doesn't matter what circumstances change. He believed philosophy and religion aim at the same truth, but through different paths. While the Quran teaches truth symbolically, philosophy explains it rationally. Averroes saw ethics as the practice of justice, moderation, and rational self-control, the means to live in harmony with divine law. That's what he believed in. He believed in taking the good from both sides and getting to the truth from both sides, of course, through reason. Both philosophers show that in Islam, faith and reason are not enemies, but allies in the search of moral truth. Their works later influenced great European thinkers such as Thomas Aquinas and shaped medieval and Renaissance philosophy. So it was very prominent throughout the whole, continents. So there is a famous quote from Averroes. He said, "An army of philosophers would not be sufficient to change the nature of error and to make it truth." He always believed that if you think logically about any problem, you will find a solution for it. Just by thinking logically and following, the list of things you have. Okay, now let us do our conclusion and then you'll have your Q&A. So to conclude, Islam presents a vision of life that integrates belief, moral responsibility, and rational thought. It calls on people to act justly, to show compassion, and to live with purpose and awareness of God. From the 5 pillars to the works of philosophers like Avicenna and Averroes, we see a consistent message that ethical living comes from balancing spiritual devotion, intellectual reflection, and moral action. Ultimately, Islamic ethics remind us that our actions define who we are and that the highest form of worship is to live a life rooted in justice, mercy, and wisdom. Okay, it's not blind following, it's not blind, faith. You have to think, you have to build your own knowledge, your own decisions, your own choices, and it will all make sense at the end. Okay? All right. So that was all. Hopefully, I kept it short. Thank you, Professor. And now, do you guys have any questions about any part of the presentation?
I had a question. Can you elaborate about like the afterlife a little bit, about like what they believe happens after they die?
Okay. So for Muslims, once you die, they bury you, and they bury you in the land or wherever, and you're staying there until Judgment Day. On Judgment Day, all those people who died will be resurrected, I guess, and they will stand in a line, and they will be judged according to what they did. So if they follow it, everything in the Quran, if they prayed 5 times a day, if they were nice to their neighbors, if they, yeah, it basically goes like that. So if you're a good person, you'll go to heaven and you will live there for eternity. And of course, heaven is a very nice place where you can do whatever you want. They say it has a lot of trees and rivers and a lot of nature. And yeah, you'll stay there. There is no pain there, no suffering, no lying. There is nothing bad. Everything is good. And you're with God. And the second one, if you don't really follow the things, or you're a bad human being, you go to hell. And in hell, it's the fire and those things, and you're actually supposed to be burning or suffering for eternity with the devil, shaitan, in their in their language. And okay, so for Muslims, they think there are two angels, and each person has an angel here, the right hand, and an angel here on the right shoulder. Okay, so the angel here, who is on your right hand, will write down every small thing, good thing that you do in your whole life. And the other angel on your right shoulder will write all the bad things that you do in your life. And at the very end, on Judgment Day, God will see those records, and He will see you as a human being, your actions, your prayers, everything. And he will decide where to put you. I think that's how it goes. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question. What is like the reason that women wear hijabs or like dress like fully covered?
Okay, so in the Quran, it says there is a verse that says women should always wear modest clothes and wear the hijab thing on their head, the scarf, as a way of modesty, as a way of being disciplined, of being following whatever God is saying. They do that. Okay, it's a part of the religion. It's a part of what the Quran is saying. But just because you're not wearing a hijab doesn't mean you're not a Muslim. Muslims can have their hair down. They can wear shorts. They can do whatever they want. It just differs from one person to the second, depending on their personal choices. So if you want to go full cover, you want to cover your hair, you are very religious, and you think that you're being obedient and you want to do it, you can. If you don't want to do it, don't. It's just personal preference. Okay, Any other questions?
I have one.
Okay.
I know when previous instructors have given this lesson for me, they talked as well about unclean meats. But when it comes, especially when it comes to ethics, like there's certain, like with when you eat meat, like certain animals, if you kill them and
Yeah.
bad ways, can you elaborate on that for everybody?
Yes. So in Islam, um, in the Quran, there are verses that mention animal rights. So it is forbidden to eat meat from animals that have been killed in a way that is painful to the animal. So if the animal was not killed according to the Islamic way, which is the less painful way, it as a Muslim, you cannot eat that meat. You're not allowed to eat that meat. So if it is a chicken, if it is a sheep, a cow, whatever, you must, do it in a way that is not painful to the animals. And also, you cannot eat pork as a Muslim. And that's it.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming. You taught me some things. I didn't know that um, Avicenna was such a fan of Aristotle, so that was really cool to learn. We just read Aristotle's Ethics in this class, so I know everybody was following you on that one.
Oh, that's cool. That's really amazing.
So,
Okay,
yeah, thank you very much.
thank you very much for having me. And you're welcome to come visit my office anytime if you have any questions regarding our culture or anything like that.
Sure, and I will see you again next Monday for the other
Sure.
class.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.